Well, howdy, y'all, and welcome to another electrifying episode of the High Voltage Live Show. I'm your host, Willie Snyder with NEC Code, coming to you live from the Mile High City in Denver, Colorado. I'm joined by my awesome co-host, Mr. King James Stalkup, over there in Big Sky Country, Texas, giving old hook 'em horns from the Mile High Country. And just want a big shout out to all the participation we had this week. NEC Code, I hit 15,000 just on one post. It was so awesome, man. So much participation. It was a lot of fun. Had a lot of apprentices reach out, ask me questions about it, and just meant a lot that everyone was getting engaged. I had so many different comments, and like I said, almost everybody got it right. And one of the things they were asking is if we could get a code reference. So I brought old King James in, see if we could get an old code reference up in there. And like I say, I have a really easy Willie Quiz for you, so you should be able to slam dunk this baby. Like I say, college football, you should slam it. You know, it's all easy. So I made sure it was all ones you're gonna know.
Well, just let remind everybody, we've got the Monday morning coach that we're doing, and we're having a lot of fun doing that. We're going to start adding some different things to it. You know, we'll do every week we'll keep an updated list on who we think, not what the experts think.
I'm crossing my fingers. I might have my brother on Monday. He's gonna do the old Go Blue Michigan side.
Yeah, they're playing. So, that's gonna be a good game. Definitely, yeah. That's what I'm doing Saturday at 11. But we'll do the top 10 each week. You know, as we're watching what we're doing, and I'm going to keep it in a PowerPoint so we can see how it changed from week to week. You know, because like the first week, you know, well, I'll start it this week. I really don't pay any attention to the very first week because, you know, teams like, say, Florida State lost 2 games already. So they're definitely not top 10 anymore. So, but we'll, you know, we had a few big games this week, and we'll have a top 10 that we'll show. And each week as we go through that, it'll be getting revised, you know, what we think, you know, from what we watched and all of that. And then we'll do the pro football too, which Bill's going to do. I'm going to do college because I like college. So we'll just have a lot of fun doing that next Monday. We'll be adding that, and Bill's got a couple of things he's wants to do. We're actually going to have the Willie Quiz on that one, but it'll be mainly football. He may do pro, then he may do some college. I mean, you know, we'll just go back and forth.
I might mix it up a little. Never know. I've been trying to, you know, throw in some bullshit answers to try to trip you up a little, but we'll see. You know, like there's only been a few times where you picked the bullshit answer, so it's pretty hard to pull the wool over your eyes. But you know, still a lot of fun to do.
I pick them every now and
then. Yeah, so. Exactly. That's always the fun part, but. It just means a lot, just all the participation, everyone jumping in and just jumping in all our groups, and it's been a lot of fun. We're like over 26,000 on electrical code discussion for awesome electricians. It's just been growing so much, so that's awesome. Oh,
Ridiculous Smith. Okay, yeah, we'll go over it for sure. So
am I on the wrong comments or something? Oh, I didn't see it. I must have scrolled down. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I didn't see David. Thanks for joining us, Dave.
Okay.
Electrical wizard.
Let's go ahead and roll the myth. I'm sorry, the meme.
Oh, the meme.
Getting ahead of myself now. All right, here we go.
So the thing that's so funny is you would not believe how proud people are when they like find one little thing to fail you on, like you didn't drill out for your screw holes or just anything. It's so much fun, like just kind of make fun of those guys.
That's sort of funny. You failed the inspection online.
Yep, it sure is.
So, that is sort of funny. I've never heard that before. That was funny.
Yeah, so it's pretty funny to like use some of those templates and throw them together. kind of make my own memes and stuff. But I'm interested to see what David thinks is like ridiculous about this week's myth. Like it's funny because every time I do them, I think, oh, it doesn't seem like anybody's gonna get fooled. But there was a people in there that said inspectors made them change out all the circuits. So we'll roll the myth of the week.
All right, let's get her queued up here and get her going.
It's time for Myth of the Week.
All right, so a lot of these myths are kind of based on some questions that kind of come into my question bank. There's people that'll come in, and this picture was actually from like a hotel that we were working on, and it's really bad.
Where'd you go, Bill? You there?
I'm not here?
There you go. Now you're back.
Oh, okay. All right. But, yeah, sorry about that. This is a pretty dangerous situation. I wouldn't be doing this, like using the equipment ground as a neutral conductor, as a neutral path. It's pretty dangerous. This is like only to power up like a Christmas tree. It looked like they were only using it for little stuff, but if you start to get some like large loads on that, like some chop saws or something, like that'd be pretty dangerous. That metal could become energized, and it's a little dangerous, so I wouldn't recommend that. But this myth doesn't have anything to do with that. It's, basically, if you're just doing a service change, do you have to change out all the 3-wire circuits for the dwelling unit? And I've had this come up a lot of times where a lot of guys, when they're doing a service change, they'll just bid it in with their price, and they'll just tell the customer like, hey, we should probably change all your 3-wire out at the same time, and then get it all done in one shot, change them all from 3-wire to 4-wire. But it always becomes interesting because a lot of people say that it's required per code to do that, and that's like 100% wrong. It is not required, and a lot of people correctly answered that if you're moving the circuit more than 6 foot, then you're required to change it out. And so there is some validity to those kind of statements, that if you're just swapping the panel, it's in the same spot, and you're just reusing what's already there, then you could leave those 3-wire. And the reason that they call that a little bit dangerous is because what you're doing is you're actually bleeding current onto the equipment ground. And so there actually is a UL standard where I think they could go up to like 12 milliamps of leakage current before it actually becomes something dangerous. And so it's pretty amazing, and that's what they're still doing on some of the appliances, ranges, dryers, 240 volt mostly, and then they're just using that equipment ground as like the neutral path to derive their 110 circuits. So it's kind of a little dangerous, and they realized it a while back, a few code cycles back. I want to say probably in like 08 or something, or in 11, probably back in there. And they decided that they were going to do away with all these 3-wire circuits and change them all to 4-wire, so then that way you have a solid path for your neutral, and you're not bleeding current onto that equipment grounding conductor. So, like I say, it's just one of those things that was funny. A lot of people, like David, was like, oh, this is ridiculous, you don't have to change those. But then there was actually people that were like, oh, well, inspector made us. And a lot of times what they do is they just say, oh, well, we just changed it anyway. And, oh, we actually have some football guys coming in. Awesome. Oh, thanks for jumping in. Football extraordinaire in the house. Thanks for hanging out. But, yeah, it means a lot to, kind of be able to go through these and kind of show people, get like King James, the HJ of Grapevine out here to kind of tell us what he wants, and maybe that inspector that was telling you those had to be changed out was just trying to get something off his wish list and not really anything that's a code reference or not. I'm going with 90.2b. If it was code at one time, it's code now.
That's correct. David's right. There's no code reference. I'm just going to tell you now. This is just an argument. Now, I will tell you this. It could be something that is in an ordinance that they've come in and put it in their ordinance. If you do so much to the house, they may have an ordinance. If you change out the service panel, they want you to change out the 3-wire circuits. That could be in the ordinance. Otherwise, you don't have to, because it's not in the code. There's nowhere that states that. Now, I will give you a little insight, sort of like when if you go and look at Ocean, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's 50%, if I'm not mistaken. I'd go back and look to be 100% sure, but it's back in there where they deal with March 15th, 1972, and then April 16th, 1981. Those are the 2 dates that you're going to know, and that's when you started seeing them come in, and they skipped from 71 to 75, and then it was 3 years after that. But they had a 4-year skip there. Well, that's because OSHA was wanting the NFPA to come in and get serious about taking care of commercial industrial. And they have a thing in there that says if you do a remodel where you're going to redo 50% or more of the area that's going to be there, then you had to bring it up to the current code at that time. Okay. Right. And that falls in. You'll remember me talking about that a while back, where I showed the text of OSHA and I showed those exact dates and the language that they stated, having to redo that. Okay. But for this, this in here is for a dwelling unit. So this would have to be something that would have to be in an ordinance from the city, the state, or somebody, county. It'd have to be something like that they set up to where they're telling you here for these older homes and everything, if you bring the service up, then we want all the 3-wire circuits brought up. Okay. True. And then it could be where they don't even say, they say all the electrical system has to be brought up. You see what I'm saying? So
and big shout out to my buddies out in Cali. They said in Cali it's wonky. You could do one in this county over here, and it's different than this county over here, and then Title 24 applies over here, and so they were telling me all kinds of stuff. You might have to have a sprinkler system installed just for changing out electrical panel and just all that stuff. So it was a lot of good comments, a lot of the emergency service disconnect comments, which that kind of further complicates some things if you're changing your bonding points and you're bringing a 4-wire service entrance and stuff like that, and then trying to make that what these are tied into a sub panel. Well, now you can't do that anymore. They have to be isolated. So
sure. I don't know what the state requirement is here in Texas. I think in Fort Worth at one time they had it in there. If you have a residential unit that's over 6,000 square foot, you had to have a sprinkler system.
True.
So, and that could still be with the state. I haven't checked. It's been so long. But that right there is an amendment to the code. What they want, in certain areas. And the same thing could happen here. It would not be a foregone conclusion if a state come in and amended something there and said, you do this type of change out, we want this in there. But as far as the code is concerned, the code does not address this.
We've even seen some jurisdictions say concrete and case electrode can be smaller than number 4 too. So.
Oh yeah, sure. Well, and the reason that is because they get these people on here that say, "Oh, you can go smaller." Well, no, you can't. First of all, I've already, it's interesting because I submitted to code making panel 5, I think is Article 250. And I wanted clarification, and they said you go smaller, but they did not reference what I put in there, the material that I submitted from previous code making panels that said even the number 6 is considered too small. So what I did is I resubmitted, and I said I want it stated from the code making panel that you disagree with the other code making panel, because what they stated is different from what you're saying now. And apparently you're not going back looking at the test data or anything. This is just y'all's opinion. So I want a statement from y'all. I don't care if you say we can go smaller. That's fine with me. But I think if they do, you're going to see some states come back and say you can't go smaller than number 4, which is funny because you had Dad was explaining what took place, and he explained why they got out of made electrodes and all of that took place. And Lloyd Mills come in and said, well, the way the code reads, you can go smaller. He goes, okay. He goes, well, let me ask you. He goes, I come in your area, you going to let me go smaller? And he goes, no, we won't let you do that. So it just goes to show you're arguing something that you won't even allow. I mean, that makes no sense, and all these keyboard warriors want to do good saying, oh, well, that's not what code is. Well, the thing is, you're not going to allow it, but yet you're saying we're all wrong, but you won't allow it.
You're talking about some really weird stuff. Like I'm pretty sure that a lot of these buildings are engineered, and they have engineering, and I've never seen an engineer allow anything smaller than number 4. And then when you go look at it too, how are you gonna buy off that service is never gonna go larger than whatever you're saying it is, 100 amps or whatever, that your service entrance is never gonna be increased,
Well, sure, and
it's crazy.
And if you think about it, when they size based on what the service is for the grounding electroconductor. It's not done based on what the calculated load and everything is. It's what's there, what that service is rated for, and the conductors coming into it. That's how you go about sizing it. And it's like I've always said, if you're sizing to the metal water pipe or you're sizing the building steel, it's based on the conductors. Everything else, it already gives you a size. It tells you for the ground rod number 6, concrete encased electrode number 4, and for ground ring number 2. That's done, and that's in 256.6 A, B, and C, and then that refers you back to 250.52 A234 and then A5. Okay.
True.
So
right.
Really
sorry to make you go down that little rabbit hole real quick.
Oh, that's okay. I don't mind. But just sort of top this off right here, that there's no code section. And that's why David was saying right there, I want to know the code section. Well, there isn't one. Not that I'm aware of. And if there is, somebody can correct me in the comments, but I've never seen it, and I've never heard of that.
So what it comes down to is what we typically call out in the field the grandfather clause. There really is no such thing as a grandfather clause, but what it comes down to is 90.2b, where it says if it passed a code at one time and you didn't change it, then it's considered passing our current code. So, and like I say, unless you maybe change 50% of it, or you move it 6 foot, or there's some other criteria that could come into play. If you're, like moving it 6 foot and you have to change it to arc fault, different stuff like that, So you just have to be careful. And like I say, if it's in a laundry area, then it should probably be on a GFCI too. So,
Well, and that goes back to what I said. That's going to be an amendment that the state, city or county or somebody that's put together that they want to see done if you're doing certain things.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, 100%.
All right.
Well, myth is busted. You do not have to change out those 3-wire circuits, and so I appreciate you helping me out, bust out this week. I got a really good one next week. You're gonna crack up. My one next week it's gonna get some people fired up. But It's funny because I have like a lot of the code guys out there that are like doing an awesome job posting stuff out there. It's just giving me so many ideas and things that we brought up, gray areas that we ran into, and we'll see how much they enjoy our gray area
Sure.
section.
And I want to point one thing out before we move on to topic of the week. I posted in the chat links to all the other different social media that we have. So if you go in,
6 foot AFCI.
yeah, he's right on that. But that wasn't the question, so I didn't get into AFCI.
Or encased in 2 inches of concrete.
Yeah, but if you prefer to look at Rumble, I've taken now at Rumble. I've added everything I've done up to this point. I've got about probably about 8 more videos to break down for the 3 segments and all of that. Put it over there, but there's if you like Rumble, there's 100 videos on there on High Voltage Live. I'm getting close to having them all added into Instagram and also over to TikTok. So we're finally getting all of this spread out, going everywhere, and then I'll eventually be adding all kinds of other videos on the code and stuff that I do with all the cool movement and all of that shit. So,
dude, I just found out tonight. Big shout out to Viking Enterprises. I turned Dave on. Dave of Viking Enterprise. He got me this shirt. He got me a bunch of swag and stuff. I did an episode on Vikings and stuff because he's cool. Viking heritage. Found out his 7-year-old son is a fan of the Willie Jackerson experiment. So he runs around jamming my metal. He's a little metalhead. So that was pretty cool. When I heard that, I was like, "That's awesome, man!" So big shout out to you, little man.
It just goes to show you, I remember we started this podcast, and I said, based on the way you do everything, I said it'd probably take us about 1.5 years to 2 before it really gets going. And look at it now. It's and you look at the groups. You put in what's the number one group, electrical group on Facebook. It pulls up electrical code discussion for awesome electricians. You go in, what's the number one electrical podcast? It pulls us up. And that just goes to show we've stayed continuous. Every week we're doing it. And we put a lot of time and effort into it. It's sort of funny because my brother, he's very good on studying with the Bible and all that. He wanted me to create him one. I think he's going to do it, but I've already created him an intro, outro, everything called The Biblical Truth. He's going to go in and he's wanting to do that. And nice. I told him, I said, yeah, man, I see you want to do it, and I'll set you up, give me the text. I'll set you up presentations each week. Said it don't take me that long to do that part because it's not a lot of illustrations and stuff. It's just mainly text. And I said, we can, set it up. I can make it look real nice for you and everything, cool backgrounds. And he's like, hell yeah. So he's going to do that.
Right at the end of his intro, it's all ACs are not outlets, something like that.
I'm gonna post. Hey, I'm gonna tag him electrical and everything.
Where'd that come in? Who put that in there? Mm-hmm. I don't know.
And that's another thing. Another reason it's building up good is because I've gone in and I've done a lot of studying on how to tag videos and do this and do that. That there's a lot that goes into it that's behind the scenes that people don't see. So when you go in and you put in electrical, electricity, electrician, all of this is being tagged now. So when you go in there and look at it, next thing you know, there's 500 videos on there, or 450, I think now. But by the time this time gets here next year, there's probably going to be over 1,500 videos on there. That's all tagged through the YouTube side, the Rumble side, the Instagram side, LinkedIn. We got it over there.
I think I royally screwed up on my myth numbering. I think I got way more. I think I got 130 or something. So
what did I tell you a long time ago about that? Yeah. You remember what I told you?
Yeah, I pretty could have over 150 at some point.
Yeah, it was funny because at that point, what was there, like 60, 70 of them, something like
Yeah,
that?
like 57, I think.
Yeah, 57. And he was laughing. He goes, man, we're going to be doing that every week after a little over a year ago. I said, oh, no. I said, by the time 2 years come around, I said, you'll be around 150, 200. He goes, bullshit. There ain't no way. Look where we're at now.
I never saw myself getting into the hundreds. Like I thought what I was gonna be doing was I thought I was gonna be going back and revisiting all like the same ones.
Oh, no.
Because you'll still get the same people come in and say the same stupid things. Like, dude, we had this one. We were in one of the things, and it was something weird. Like, some guy had just used, like, he didn't do any box offset. He just used minis. Mm-hmm. And one of the guys was like, oh, man, yeah, you got to watch out doing that, man. You don't bend box offsets, them straps will pop off and you could kill somebody, you know? And we're like, what? And then it was so funny. The guy's like, he was serious. He's like, oh, yeah, I seen it happen. And we're like, what? And then next thing you know, like, that's where a lot of these myths come from, is they come from actual people in the comments. Like, there was this guy, I know we did the one on ISO phase where you put all the same phases in the same conduit. And we do use the ISO phase technique a lot out in gas and oil. It's a lot easier way to, like, Chico up your pipes and, you know, like, keep them all separated to where, you know, you don't have to separate them when they come out. They can just go straight out, and then they get a nice seal on them when they come into the building and stuff like that. So the ISO phase is really common in industrial, and we use like aluminum, and we use like a lot of non-ferrous materials to bring them into the building. We use like non-ferrous stovepipes, all kinds of stuff like that. And so I learned a lot about the ISO phase, but there's this one guy like, oh yeah, I saw a guy do that once. It like blew a stadium off the foundation. We're like, what? You know, like, and I've actually heard the same thing a couple times from a couple different angles. Like, oh yeah, I heard a stadium got blown out the foundation doing that. And I'm like, when was this? Like, I want the link to the news story, you know, so.
You know, it's sort of funny because you remember me saying that. I said, you watch, we'll do one myth, and I said that myth will lead in 2 or 3 more.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It definitely did. I mean, the EVSE one is real interesting to me because code making panel 2's got some issues for 2026.
Oh, yeah, they do.
When I started reading like the public comments and stuff, and they started talking about this reverse fed EVSE where you can reverse feed and power the house and stuff, like, I'm gonna have to see how that all works, how that's gonna be code compliant to like backfeed your house, and are you gonna backfeed through the same outlet? You know, like, how's that work? You know, like, I mean, you're gonna have to have some kind of separate connection. Like, I don't know that you can just do it off your charging equipment, you know.
No, they'll probably have some type of connector that allows you to do that, and it's almost sort of like another power supply. But I think they'll probably set it up where there'll be something. I don't think you'll go through the original that is set up to charge it. I think it'll be something that's on the house that you plug into, and it pulls from there to feed the house. Then you'll have a transfer switch that does it.
But they're talking, in order to do that, you're going to have these reverse fed GFCIs to comply with like what they're saying. And
no, you're not.
So it's gonna be tricky. Like, it's gonna be tricky on how they want to do it. And like I say, that's even a bigger thing about the manufacturer instructions. The manufacturer instructions say do not use this on it. I mean, you're backfeeding your entire house off your car. You know,
I just don't believe you're backfeeding to what's there. I believe there will be something that's set up that you'll plug into, just like if you had a generator system that's feeding. You could have photovoltaic that's feeding, you know, and there will be something that you connect into there that will feed to the house. That's what I think it'll do. And you're damn sure not going to want GFCI protection there. If that's the case, and you tell me I got to have GFCI protection for for the generator and everything else that's there. I mean, that's ridiculous. So
I agree.
but we'll see.
And,
I think that's how they'll do it, but we'll see.
The high frequency one was a big hot topic, like, because they're trying to say that they're putting a high frequency exception in there, and the product doesn't even exist yet.
See, that's where I've got a problem, and you've heard me say this many times on here. And one of the things that I had a gripe about was them requiring GFCI protection for the AC unit. They didn't have the technical merit to do so. This is the same thing, and this is one of the things that upsets me. Some of y'all be watching this on Code Making Pound 2 upset you. I really don't care. I'll just be honest, and I'm gonna tell you why I don't. Because as long as I've been in the code making process, you had to validate what you're doing. There was always technical merit to explain. There was no technical merit there for you to want to require GFCI protection for the AC unit. The deaths wasn't there, anything. The deaths that were cited was due to improper wiring that wasn't done completely the correct way, and the other was due to maintenance issues where they didn't follow 70E. Now that's where I got a problem. And I'll tell you where I've got my other problem is you put a task group together that went out and they did 100 something whatever AC units. They come back, told you what the problem was and everything. Then you got certain members on Code Making Panel 2 that rejected that TIA, put their own TIA together. And apparently, Ryan Jackson got on the floor, did his mic drop per Dimitrovich. And I said, yeah, well, I can tell you right now, and of course, we had everybody come and ask on, see, Code Making Panel 2 just proved your own. And I said, they didn't prove nobody wrong. I said, you got people on there pushing something that they didn't have the technical merit to do so. And I said, when it gets to the Standards Council, they're going to reject that TIA and they're going to accept the TIA that actually had technical merit that was done by the task group. What happened? Exactly what I said was going to happen. Now, you got Code Making Panel 2 coming in pushing a high frequency GFCI that hasn't ever been developed, tested, or anything, has no technical merit at all to show how it works or anything, but yet we need it. And you expect people out in the industry to have faith in what you're doing. That is where I have a problem with. And, it upsets, and let me tell you, it upsets people on those panels and stuff because I'm out here saying that. That's not correct way to do it. And I understand, you work for a company and they sell products. That's a fact. And there's nothing wrong with having good products out there to protect people. I'm 100% on board with protecting people. But I believe there's a process you got to go through in order to do that. So,
nice, Cameron.
Hey, Cameron. And
yeah, we might run a little long. We might not be ready till.
We'll be close. Time. We'll adjust.
Yeah.
But that's my whole argument. Is, I have no problem requiring GFCI on an AC unit. I have no problem requiring on a refrigerator. I have no problem on a dryer, range, oven, whatever it is. But I believe you got to have technical merit to do it, and you got to show that the product works for what you're putting it on. And they hadn't done that.
I was blown away. The statistics. I put an overall compatibility for all of 210 to A through F, and I mean, I'm sure it'll get rejected, but it was based on the statistics of the refrigerators that are almost always taken off of Class A devices, and they haven't had any issues, and so they're making them like draw less, they're making them more efficient, they're using the freak drives, and anytime these freak drives, like, it's basically like putting a dimmer switch on your refrigerator.
Sure it is.
And every time that dimmer switch clicks, it'll pop that GFCI.
Sure.
And that's the whole reason why the manufacturers say don't put GFCI on these, because you're going to have nuisance tripping. And,
sure. And one of the arguments they use, we'll just use AC unit. Well, we're saying you need it for safety. Well, did you take into consideration that it wasn't compatible and that it could trip? And during the hot summers of the months, these older people that don't have air conditioning, all of a sudden they die of heat strokes and stuff. Did you consider that? You
obviously not.
Yeah. And then I would argue at that point, I'd say, where is the documentation of all these deaths that were caused from the people getting killed because there wasn't GFCI on an AC unit? That's never been submitted yet. They give their opinions and stuff, but the data is not there to show it.
Well, you look at like this happening in 2007, this tragic incident. Well, how many was there before that? Yeah. You know, how many was there after that? Like you went 5 code cycles without even saying a word about it.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And we didn't have any more incidences.
That's why I think they need to, that's why I believe in technical merit and submitting the technical merit that shows the technical substantiations of why you need it. That's never been there. It's just an opinion draft that they did, and that's why it got rejected by the Standards Council.
Sure.
That's fact.
All right.
That's not my opinion. That actually happened,
Oh, so. Yeah. And like I say, that was one of the things that I brought up in my public comment for them having 210.8F applied to replacements. To me, in my opinion, that's impossible to enforce.
Sure.
I mean, you can say, oh, you're changing out a whole bunch of units and I got to check. That's never going to happen. It's just rough. Like, you got to make it realistic. And so.
All right. Let's move on. We've hammered that pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. Let's roll over to topic of the week.
All right. So are you still doing 2026 changes?
Yes, I am.
All right.
Won't be long before we get past all of this, and we'll be moving on to something else. I'm finishing up chapter 5 into chapter 6, and usually chapter 7 and 8 doesn't have a ton in it, so we're probably a few weeks away from having this knocked out, and then we need to get in touch with Mark Candles. We told him we'd have him on, let him come on.
It looks like he's fired up. It looks like he's got his laptop set up. I don't know if he got his cowboy hat fired up yet, but I'm gonna have to get me something decent to just compete with you guys, But I like how you moved the text down so we could see it.
Yeah, y'all were complaining and giving me hell, so I thought I better fix that. But once again, one of the things that you're starting to see a lot that has happened in the code is they're coming in talking about having documentation. And this is dealing where you have a peer distribution system. And they're telling you here they want to have documentation provided here of the engineered electrical design of the peer distribution system, and this is required to be provided at the request of the authority having jurisdiction, and this is to help the jurisdiction understand what's taking place to help minimize potential hazards. Right. Okay, so this is just another example, and if you really look, where did we really start getting in and start requiring a lot of documentation? Do you know what standard it was?
OSHA?
OSHA's always required it, but NFPA, it really started happening in 70E.
Okay.
We started requiring a lot of documentation in there. And if you sort of look, and I can prove this fact, when we would get in and we started looking at documentation and everything, we always got to where we wanted to document a meeting between the facility and the contractor. So you had the host employer and the contractor. That was always documented. And if there were any other potential hazards that you would be working on that and the facility was aware of it, they had to make the contractor aware of it. And what they would do is they would have an energized electrical work permit. And from there, you would have both parties sign off on it. Well, then we went there and what did we start requiring? We started requiring labeling at the service and everything for your labels that were there. And if you remember when they started it off, we had 110.16 and you had to identify the hazard that was there. Okay. Well, if you look at what's happened consecutive years after every 3 years, now you're starting to see they're requiring a lot of documentation. Well, the second thing that we went for that documentation that had to be documented there was we wanted you to have the available fault current. Well,
so just to correct me if I'm wrong, isn't 110.16, isn't that just for justified energized work?
Yeah, that's it. It's just label identification when it first started. That's where it started. And
gotcha.
Then after that, what did we jump into? We jumped into 110.24 A and B, and that's where we got in saying you need to have the available fault current there. Well, all of that was dictated based on what? 70E document. And if you looked at the 70E document, we come in and we had the tables that were set back there. Tables now they're 130.7C, 15 A, B, and C. A is for AC and B is for DC, and then C is for selecting your PPE. But when it first started, we had categories 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we don't have a 0, but we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, those categories are based on some certain parameters. Well, what were those parameters? One is we need to know what the available fault current was and what the clearing time was. And then we did it based on an 18-inch typical working distance from the part. So we needed that in there. So then we got that. Then what do they come in and do? What we've seen through the 2026 and the 2023, that they're referring you back also to where 110.21 that deals with what? The color of it. So if you had a warning,
isn't 110.21 where the one where it can't be handwritten?
Oh yeah, it's all in there. 110.21B gets into the color. But you get over and you pick that up. If it's danger, it's red. If it's a caution or warning, we put it in orange. And if it's just a signal, we put it in yellow. And that's what based off they got an informational note there off what? NPC 535. Okay.
So all they're doing is just bringing this over to boatyards and marinas.
Yeah, well, that's not really what this is. But what I'm trying to say is everything is getting documented more. Okay. Gotcha. And that's what the most important part is you're starting to see a lot of direct relation to the engineering that's done and also the other standards. That gotcha. There's a lot of referral back there. Okay.
Okay.
Now this gets into the equipotential planes and the bonding of the equipotential planes. And you'll remember we've done a lot of this already. They've moved some stuff around, but they've come in and fixed a few things here. And this is, if I went over and looked at 680.26 where I'm dealing with swimming pools and stuff, and we talk about the copper grid. Well, when we were doing the copper grid and everything, we'd bond all that in with a number 8 bare solid copper conductor, right? Okay. Yes, and then they tell you when you're doing this grid, they want it set up in a network of 12 by 12. Okay, so they're uniformly spaced perpendicular grid patterns, basically what they're telling you here. Okay.
Okay.
And they tell you if you're going to do exothermic welding here, they say that's permitted to be used, or you can use listed splicing devices. Okay. So sort of the same things we're already doing in all the others. So all they did is incorporate these. Oh, look there. They even tell you here. I hadn't looked at this because this is we were supposed to do this 2 weeks ago. But looky there, they're telling you to look where 680.26 for consistency.
True.
So they're just telling you the bonding's done the same.
I have seen actual listed splices for concrete encasement and direct burial that were mechanical.
Sure.
For those.
And looky there, they even the last sentence they got 2 other sections, but just as an example, if you look at 547.44B, what does that deal with? Agriculture.
Yeah.
So everything's being consistent. And then they came in here, and I think this is pretty good, because what they're trying to do is reduce the likelihood where you have other parts of an existing installation that could actually contribute to the electrical hazard that you might have exposure to. So when you look here, this is where, and you'll see they moved a couple of things down, but the main one you're going to deal with here is where they talk about replacing. And they say when you have replacement of equipment is necessary, they're telling you here, now look at this one more time, because this is what I've been saying. A qualified person shall document. So you got to have documentation here, and replace the equipment in accordance with the requirements of this code. The installation shall require an inspection of the circuit. Any servicing necessary to address issues discovered during the inspection shall be done in accordance with 555.15A. So anytime you have equipment that's been damaged here, they're telling you it's got to be documented and serviced by a qualified person. Okay. So I think, and another thing that's interesting, if you look in A there, it also says equipment that has been damaged shall be recognized, documented, and serviced by a qualified person to the addition of this code to which it was originally installed. So they're telling you here to do what? Bring it up to code.
Yeah.
You see that? Now, this is a total different thing than what the myth was. That's funny how this just happened to roll in with that. But this one here, they're telling you to do it. But when we were looking at residential, that's not there. Here, they're telling you to do this.
Yes.
So there's you a good one right there, brother.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's funny how sometimes some of that stuff rolls in, with
it does.
Honestly. And this is where you get in branch circuits. But what I want to point out is showing what 1 and 2 say here. They did some clarity here where they removed the word required here. Okay, and when they remove that from the heading, they're basically just saying these are branch circuits, and then they've got 2 types here. They got a sign outlet and a branch circuit rating. Okay, now look what it says. Each commercial building and each commercial occupancy accessible to pedestrians shall be provided with at least 1 outlet in an accessible location at each entrance to each tenant space for sign and outline lighting system use. Now, let me explain this. If they're telling you have to take and you have to provide here at least 1 outlet in an accessible location, if you've got a totally enclosed sign that is mounted to the wall and you've got to assemble that and you've got to get up on a lift and everything, is that considered to be accessible?
No.
And it is accessible, but the thing is the outlet there. Well, first of all, there's no outlet in the sign.
If you have to remove pieces of the building, then it's not accessible.
That's the way I look at it. But some will argue that's what I'll say, because it doesn't say readily accessible. But let's look at this. Now, if I'm going to make something accessible that somebody can get to, how would you make that accessible?
Yeah, I mean,
I'd put a box there. You got a box.
To me, you're damaging the finish of the building if you happen to open that sign up.
Well, sure. Now look at this. How would I make it accessible? Well, it's sort of like, let's say just say a house, commercial building, I don't care what it is, and I come up in the ceiling, I put an outlet there, and then, or say I put a box there. I put a box there, and then I feed a fixture from there. Where's the outlet? Is it at the fixture or is it at the box?
It's at the box.
It's at the box. And all you got to do is go look at 314.27 and it tells you that. Okay?
Right.
Now, let's look at the branch circuit rating. It says outlets shall be supplied by a branch circuit rated at least 20 amps that supplies no other loads. Okay? Now, I'm going to supply an outlet, okay, at least 20 amps. How am I going to take and supply that outlet? And that is my point here. Where is that outlet located here for this branch circuit? Well, if I go out on a pole and I've got a pole out there, do they take and put a handhold there that you have access to?
Yeah. That's
your outlet right there.
Yeah.
That's the access to it. Okay? And then when you look at exception 1, what does it say? A sign or outlet, lighting outlet shall not be required at entrances for delivery, service corridors, and that. So the same things are setting up here that they've had before, and they're telling you where the outlet's not required. Okay? Yeah. So they fix this and they broke it down into 2 parts here to tell you what is a sign outlet, and then they tell you what a branch circuit rating is. Okay? Yeah. So that they're taking care of both instances here in my estimation. All right? Now, this one here is another one, and this is a short circuit current rating, and look what they've done here. This is where you're dealing with elevators in this point here. And they're saying the elevator control panel shall be legibly marked in the field with the available fault current at its line terminals. Okay? And it says the field marking shall include the date, the available fault current calculation was performed and shall meet the requirements. Look there again in 110.21b. And of course, that calculation has to be what? Documented.
Yep.
Look there. And then they tell you.
And not handwritten.
Mm-hmm. Now watch this. When modification to the electrical system occur that affect available fault current at the elevator control panel, the available fault current shall be verified or recalculated as necessary to ensure the elevator controls panel short current rating is sufficient for the available fault current at the line terminals of equipment. Now this is great because if you go look at 110.24a and b, they got the available fault current, and they also talk about what? Modifications.
Yep.
Okay, so they're tying it in right back there. And then when you get into the labeling portion of it, where does it tie you back into? 110.21b.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm trying to tell everybody, if you look at what we're showing you here and what we're going over, everything is matching up, and they're taking all these things into consideration in order to provide what? Protection. So anybody that works on this, if they have to work on it energized, they know what they have to do at this point, and you've got to have the available fault current, you've got to have the clearing time, and then you do the estimation. If you're using one of the tables, 18 inches. If you want to calculate it individually, then you go to Annex D of 70E, and that's where the calculation is performed from.
Yeah, and so what they have is they have correlation with 70E, 70B, OSHA, UL. Like, I mean, it goes all the way across the board. Like, they're not missing anything.
Sure. You know, like somebody said, and they were arguing when they're going, OSHA doesn't apply to residential. Oh yeah, it does. Let me, and I can explain how I know this to be a fact. If somebody goes out there and works on something, and do they have to follow the rules of 70E as a journeyman master, whoever goes out there, and they're working on that. If they work on it Energizer, they have to follow the rules of 70E.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Now, if something happened and OSHA decided to go out there and they cited you because you didn't wear the proper PPE, they would use the 70E document as a remedial standard to enforce that, and they could fine you for that.
True.
That's just a fact.
Yeah.
It just isn't limited, they only cover commercial industrial. No, they can go out and get you any place. That's a fallacious argument just because you don't think it applies. You show me anywhere in the OSHA document it says it doesn't cover residential.
True.
Let me ask this. If I look at 1910.7 and you take all these appliances, you could have a mixer, you could have a microwave, you can have a blender, a toaster, coffee machine, all of that. All those products that you're purchasing from the store, and you look on the box, it's got a UL label on it. When they put that UL label on it, did OSHA have rules that were in place that were to be followed by the manufacturer in order to get that UL listing?
Yeah, I mean, some of that stuff's so stupid though. They're saying it's got to have like a grounded cord, it's got to have like a molded plastic so water can't get, I mean, they're just like, okay, duh, like, yeah, we're not gonna just like leave it open,
Well, the main thing is they're providing means and requiring the listing and labeling because that protects who? The homeowner.
True.
That's just a fact. And it's no different. If I go out and I change 2-prong receptacle out to 3-prong, is there rules in the code that I have to follow to do that? Sure. Yeah. You got to look over at 406.4D to do that. And there's different ways to do it. The easiest way is just find the receptacle that's upstream from it and put what on it? A GFCI. See what I'm saying? Okay, let me get through this because I know they're getting ready.
All right.
They added a new exception 3 here, and this is getting into the disconnecting means portion, and they tell you here when individual branch circuit supplies an elevator control system with an adjustable speed drive, the disconnecting means that's required by 620.51C1 shall be permitted to comply with 431.28. And it says the disconnecting means shall be listed and shall be lockable open in accordance with 110.25. Now, that's something because they're talking about those type of motors that are listed in 430.128 that deal with adjustable speed drive systems. And they're telling you here that the disconnecting means can comply with that in 620.51C1, but the disconnecting has to be listed and it has to be lockable in the open position.
True.
Okay? So I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Now they did the same thing. This is dropping you into 620.51E, and this is where you get in the surge protection. And they're telling you a surge protection device shall be provided as an integral part or installed immediately adjacent to the disconnecting means. So let me explain this. You can have one that's installed immediately adjacent to the disconnecting means, and that's a separate setup. But if it's integral to it, that's part of a listed UL assembly. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So that, and if you look, what are they tying this in with? They're basically tying this into some revisions that took place in Article 242.1, and this is getting into this. And they're basically telling you that if you look, it says the listing requirement is removed because it is redundant to what? 242.6, which already requires a surge protection device to be what? Listed.
There you go.
Okay.
Hey, what's up, Cameron? Just hang tight, brother. We're almost done.
All right. And then looky here. Now you're getting into selective coordination here. And if you look at the selective coordination, look, the same stuff is happening here. They talk about when you're doing replacements and you're dealing with what? Modifications.
Right.
Okay. And they're just telling you here that if you're going to come in and do a replacement here at the elevator system overcurrent protection devices, it tells you they have to be reevaluated to ensure what? You have selective coordination, and it's maintained with all supply side and load side OCPDs or overcurrent protection devices. And then if you have any modifications, additions, or deletions to the elevator system, then selective coordination to the elevator system overcurrent protection devices with all supply side and load side overcurrent protection devices once again have to be what? Reevaluated. Okay? Yep. So they're doing a lot of clarification here. All right, and that did get me finished up tonight. How about that? So
all right, well, welcome in, Cameron. Sorry about try to unmute you. See you. Oh, there's Adam.
Hey.
Adam.
Yo, Adam.
What's up? What's up?
All right.
Y'all boys ready for a butt whooping?
I am. I don't know anything about football. As you see behind me, I'm more of a hockey guy.
So the good part is that Adam's just going to copy you, James.
That was my master plan.
Yeah, so hopefully he's right. You know, hopefully he's as good at college as he thinks he is.
I know I'm fairly good. That is my jam. We were talking about this the other night, and he called, and I said, I want to do college because I keep up, with like every year. And I've been doing this since I was probably 14 years old. Every year I get the Dave Campbell's Texas football. It's like the Bible of Texas football. All the recruits, they list the top 300 recruits in the state. And then now with internet and stuff, I still buy it and read it just because it's something that I've always done. But then I'm on Orange Bloods and all these other sites and on Texas. And all I do is keep up with all the recruits and everything. And then, who other teams have recruited and all of that. And I really know, I've been doing it since I was 14 and keeping up with college football. And, when the playoffs started, for instance, I think it was at 1998 or 99. I think it's 99. I kept up with that, I keep up with all the different teams. Ever since at least in early 80s, I've kept up with all the teams and what they've done and all that. So, yeah, I think I'll do.
So it was at that moment, Adam, that I got pushed onto the NFL side of the podcast. So,
I said, you do NFL, I'll handle the college, baby.
There you go. Yeah, I wonder what the score is right now for it's the Chiefs and Ravens, eh?
I didn't even look.
Well, sorry?
7-7.
7-7. Oh, okay.
Yeah, as soon as we finish this, I'm getting off watching the game. First season
right.
of the year, first game. I'm pumped, baby. Football
let's
season.
Let's roll the Willie Quiz, I guess.
All right,
let's
get your cool intro going.
Boom.
All right, got you guys. All right, no, I love that intro, Adam. Welcome you guys to the funnest, most energizing quiz on social media, the Willie Quiz. Question number 1. Which college football team was first to win 900 games in NCAA history Was it A, Ohio State? Was it B, Michigan? Was it C, Alabama? Was it D, Notre Dame? Was it C, or E, Georgia? Good luck, everyone.
Ooh, this is a good one here. Now,
And just so you know, Adam, my brother is like constantly bitching at me about Ohio State because Ohio State and Michigan are just battling back and forth. Like they've been battling back and forth since like the beginning of time.
Oh, so they're like the all-time rivalries for.
Yeah.
yes.
So,
You know something that was interesting? I did not know this till they said something, but it's two storied programs, Michigan and Texas. This will be the first game they've ever played during the regular season, and they've only played one other time, and that was the year before Texas played the national championship against USC and won, and they beat Michigan in the Rose Bowl. I did not know that. They've only played one. This is their second time to play each other. As long as they've been playing, that just blew me away. I did not know that.
wow. Well, we might have
this,
some memes. Just so you know, Adam, we might have some memes on Monday if Texas loses. So
not
we're
happening.
gonna have some special.
Right now, I think the most games any team has won in their history is Michigan, but I think the first one that got to 900, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Notre Dame. I'm gonna go with D, but Michigan has won the most right now. I know. Then I think it's Alabama after that. But I think Notre Dame got to 900.
Yeah, it's
I'm gonna go with
Alabama.
Notre Dame.
I'm gonna go with Michigan. I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna take a risk and go with Michigan.
I like Cameron's answer. Cameron, you going Alabama?
Yeah.
All right. So we got some good answers in here. My brother Ernie, he'd really love King James's answer at Notre Dame, but the correct answer is actually B, Michigan. They actually were the first to 900, and they are still the one with the most wins. So
I knew they would come with the most wins, but I wasn't sure if they got the 900. If you just said the most wins in history, I'd have went with Michigan right off.
My brother nailed this one right away. I was like, oh man, I hope King James doesn't know this one, but no, good answer, Adam. Leading 1-0 so far. Question number 2: Who was the first player to win the Heisman Trophy twice? Was it A, Archie Griffin? Was it B, Tim Tebow? Was it C, Johnny Manziel? Was it D, Bo Jackson? Or was it E, O.J. Simpson? Good luck, everyone.
I'll let everybody else answer this one because I know the answer.
I really like this one because it's like the first one to win it, not necessarily like some of these guys did win it twice.
Well, there was only one that won it twice, and I know who it is.
I'm gonna guess A.
I'm going with D.
The correct answer is A. Archie Griffin.
Oh, James, why do you get Adam to copy you? But you are correct. So Adam takes the lead at 2. And good answer, Cameron.
Yeah,
I
that
don't
was
think Bo
an
won
easy
it
one.
twice.
I've known that for a long time. So, all
All
right.
right. Which college football team holds the record for the most consecutive bowl game appearances? Is it A, Florida State, B, Alabama, C, Nebraska, D, Texas, or E, USC? Good luck, everyone.
Well, they've been doing bowl games for a long, long time. And this is going to come down between Florida State and Alabama. And I think Florida State probably had the most consecutive back from the late 80s all the way through the 90s, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm going to go with Florida State.
I would join the crew and this one and go Florida as well.
Florida State, huh? Where you at, Cam Dog?
Yeah, Florida State.
All right, everyone picks Florida State. Oh man, you guys are right. You got it. It was Florida State. And what was funny, I should have thrown Michigan in there because Michigan was number 2.
Oh, were they?
Michigan, they had the record all the way until I think it was just recently they lost it. Somehow they missed one and then Florida State took it. All right, in what year did the first official college football game take place? Was it A, 1869, B, 1875, C, 1881, D, 1893, or E, 1874? Good luck, everyone.
Well, I know who was one of the first teams to play in it because Dad and I have done classes out there many, many times at Rutgers. So I know because I've been in the Rutgers campus and all of that, and I know they were the first to play. I don't remember who they played, but they were the first to play. And I know it was in the 1800s.
That is correct.
I think, golly, man, I'm torn between A and E. I know it was as early. I think.
So the reason I remember 1874 was that was the year of the Great Chicago Fire.
Yeah, I'm trying to think here. I think football.
I think I'm gonna lock mine with.
I'm gonna go with A. I
Yeah.
think it was in the 1860s. I think
1869.
Where are you at, Cameron? A?
Yeah.
All right, everyone's going A. Oh man, you guys, I just can't believe this, but you were right, and Adam still has the lead by 1. So going into question 5, Adam could take the win for second consecutive time.
Oh boy.
I know this
Question
one.
number 5.
I'm not giving the answer. I'm waiting for everybody else to answer.
Which team won the first BCS national championship game in 1999? Was it A, Florida State? Was it B, Tennessee? Was it C, Ohio State? Was it D, Miami? Or was it E, Notre Dame? Good luck, everyone. All right, it is up to Adam to have a really good guess to take the win.
B.
Adam goes B, Tennessee.
I'm going with
He
A.
got the win. It was Florida State and Tennessee that played, and Tennessee won like 24-17 or something like that.
All right. Adam gets the guess of the night for the win. Oh, dude.
Oh, man.
Can you believe that? He didn't even have to flip a coin, James. That's funny. That was good, man. That was a good time. I take a little bit of time trying to work on them, but like I say, it's hard to get them like super hard, you know.
Those were good questions. I like
One day he should do college basketball.
All right.
I know college basketball pretty good. I know it fairly well.
Yeah, I could. Sky's the limit. Like I say, that's why I'm doing one for Monday Morning Coach Show. I'll probably do one on just like all football, college and NFL. It'll probably be like recruits and probably be like drafts and all kinds of stuff.
Sure,
I'll probably just throw all kinds of stuff in there. But
you can do that from now on, man. There's so many questions you can ask on football. Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I appreciate you showing up, Adam. I apologize. I forgot my pickle shot tonight. I was like, I just got the regular.
No, it's all good.
It's just WAP juice tonight. Straight WAP juice. So, you know. Awesome. Thanks for joining us, you guys. And you're more than welcome to stay for the rest of our show. And you're more than welcome to hang out and chill. And we'll just keep moving on with the show, James.
Hey, Adam, Bill send you the questions beforehand.
Dude, where's Daniel? Daniel will be watching this and be like, oh, I knew it.
You figured it out. Boom.
I know.
Dan Peters.
Dude, there's actually been guys that's like made podcasts about how much I suck and how much they hate me, and
Willie,
you know what I mean? I'm just like,
Willie,
okay.
Willie, I'm gonna go to the gym, so I'm gonna be back next week.
Okay, awesome, Cam. Yeah, thanks for showing up, bro. Yeah, do your thing, bro, and we'll just keep rolling.
All right, let's get you going tool of the week, brother.
Okay.
It's time for Tool Review of the Week. Sponsored by Electricians Only Tool Review and Nipex Tradesman.
All right. Well, this tool is real awesome this week. Like I say, one of my buddies, Cali Man, call him Cali Man, Cali, from a job I was working on. He turned me onto this tool, and oh man, is this freaking handy. It has the reversible sockets, and those are impact rated, which is kind of nice. You could toss them in your impact. It's got that little bit of a longer extension. You could put it in your screwdriver, use it as like a nut driver. You could just put it in your impact. Super handy tool. Like I say, this is one of my favorite. A lot of people don't like certain things about the Kleins, and I would say that there's probably some things that aren't like the greatest about certain Klein tools, is just like the design and stuff, but I really like the design of this tool. I like how it has this like that extension where you can kind of like reach in. The only thing that I would say I don't like about it is the sockets are like so big, so they're really not able to like reach in anywhere. So sometimes you have to like get your like 5/16 like through a small hole. You're not going to be able to do that with these. But when it comes to, you know, doing like multiple sheet metal screws, I don't know if you guys have ran into this before, but you just have this box of sheet metal screws and you're sitting there jamming sheet metal screws, and one's a 1/4 inch, one's a 5/16, one's a 3/8, you know. That's what's nice about this. You can just flip it around, put a 3/8 in there, jam it home, flip it around, grab the 5/16, jam it home. It's really nice in that aspect. Really handy. They all stack up and make it real easy to use. So it's one of my favorite tools that I've actually covered in the tool review, and I recommend it to anybody. Like I say, Klein is kind of on a little bit of a decline, but I just always have to make sure that they're made in the USA. And like I say, that's been kind of a problem in the past. Is some of the Klein tools, they're not made in the USA. But all in all, I really like this tool. It's a really good thing, and really works good. I really like it, and actually went out bought me one. So got my own. I liked it so much I went and bought my own, and like I say, it's just a cool thing to have in the arsenal. It's nice to have just those different impact ready sockets that can just stack up and have ready to go. So
All right.
really appreciate everyone joining the tool of the week.
All right, let's check out your question of the week. Let's see what you got here. Were installed indoors, individual standard bin opens, or class 155 shall be installed in local. C, isn't it 1 hour, same as the door?
Oh, James, you are correct. The thing that was funny about this is we actually had a room that we were building, and they tried to use a half-hour rated door. And I didn't even know such a thing existed,
Yeah.
But the inspector caught it because it didn't have the right things on it. It didn't have like all the right smoke seals and all the different things, like a 1 hour door. Like, he broke it down. That inspector, he broke everything down. He's like, oh, nope. He goes, and the door wasn't marked. And it was the inspector saw it, and he goes, nope, this is the wrong door. This is the wrong door. You can't use this door, And it was funny because they were like, whoa, it doesn't have a marking on it. Is it all right? And he goes, no. He's like, no, you got to have smoke seals. You got to have this. He saw every little detail of the door. And he was like, no, it's got to have this kind of hardware. It's got to have this kind of latch. It's got to have... He pointed it all out, every single thing, every criteria. So that's why I put the doors in there this week, because I knew about it. I knew that there was 2 hour doors, there was 1 hour doors, there's half hour doors. I didn't even know there was such a thing as a half hour door.
I didn't either.
But when he actually pulled it up, he busted them. They actually took the labels off of it or whatever. But he actually busted them later because he came back and he's all, here's that door, and it says half hour rated right on it. So it's pretty funny. But that was the backstory with that part of it.
All right. Well, let's go. We got one thing left. That's your wall of shame, baby.
Yeah, I think
Shame.
I kept forgetting to look for the banners, but I think we used this guys before.
Well, we got the banners here. I forgot to put those on there. I don't know what I was thinking, but there's one right there.
There you go. All right, got it rocking. Oh man, yeah, that is rich. That is rich. It looks like a panel inside the wall. It's like a junction block inside there.
It sure is. That is wild.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that personally.
Who submitted this?
Batista. I think we've used him before. Yeah.
Wow. That is... Wow. So
yeah,
it looks like they're coming
neutrals,
in and they're just branching off to everything.
Yeah, the neutrals is really scary looking.
Wow, I can't believe they did that. Wow.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine opening up a wall and finding that.
Wow.
That's a little spooky, man. I mean,
That's why we do wall of shame right there.
Dude, I've had times before where I've like shut circuits off and I like go trip the GFCI and then I'm like, okay, that'll trip this over there. And then I go over and boom, blows up in my, and I'm like, what? How did that happen? And that's the only thing that could have been the way they did that. Is how it splices inside the wall like that, because there's no other outlets. You got it coming from the home run. How could it be hot off the load side of the GFCI? There's no other wires, So
that is really something, and I guess that's why there's almost 165,000 on electrical wall of shame now.
Yeah,
because people just won't post and show some of the crap that people are out there doing.
True.
Wow.
Dude, I would run across it all the time. Like, I started a lot of the really good posts on there just from service calls, stuff I'd run across and stuff. And so it's kind of cool. All these guys are just continuing my legacy of, because I haven't been in service for a while, but like service, you run across the stupidest things.
Oh,
they
yeah.
do. So like that one, you remember the one that I showed you from that service call where they just chase their MCs right down the spare EMTs, I'm like, oh, let's see if we got a spare EMT. And I'm like, really? I was like, I got to put this on wall of shame, But, no, it's a lot of fun. And that was a really fun quiz. I hope Monday morning coach is going to be as fun as that. And like I say,
oh, yeah.
It's going to be a blast. I'm challenging Metro on his picks. And like I say, I'm going to try to, just challenge different YouTube guys out there. Just whatever, just have fun with it. And
we're going to have fun on the show. That's going to happen. And
oh, yeah. Now I got a fantasy league. We got the Chatters League. I'm on Rhinos League. So Wild Willie is my team on the Chatter League, So we're gonna see how I do. Like I say, it auto picked probably like three or four of my players before I even realized it was the draft. So I got over there and I got some good players, I wasn't too late, but like I say, it was kind of one of those things that I probably would have picked different guys if I would have been closer in on the draft. Like I tried to get Kelly and stuff. I tried to get Josh Allen. I tried to get good quarterback. I tried to get good people, but like I say, it was just one of those things that draft dropped. I wasn't ready, but it is what it is. I got a pretty good team going. We'll see what happens, and then I'm going to try to do a power ranking. So I sent you the audio, and I have it set up for you to do college breakdown and ranking, and then I'm going to do NFL breakdown, ranking, and fantasy.
Yeah, I'm going to be working on this starting tomorrow, getting everything ready for Monday, upgrading. We did our first one. Now we do our upgrades and everything, get ready for start of everything.
Nice.
So all that just been quick.
Well, I really appreciate everyone joining. We always have a great time doing these. Means a lot. And like I say, I have a really good myth for next week. You'll love it. I already poked some bears on it, and so it'll be fired up for next week.
Poke away.
But too bad we missed you, Daniel. Daniel must have forgot about it. He's probably like right now, like, oh man, the podcast. But
football game's on.
yeah, it's cool. Did you see what the score was? Like 7-7.
Let's see what it is now. I can look real quick and tell you. As soon as we finish this, I'm getting off going in there watching the game. Let's see. Chiefs are up 10-7.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, go Chefs. Dude, like the Chiefs are like getting ready to go back to back to back. Like, dude, no team ever in history has ever went back to back to back.
No, I was sort of curious.
Patriots haven't done it. The Giants haven't done it. The Niners haven't done it. The Cowboys haven't done it.
Well, Worthy's the receiver they got from Texas. He's had one catch for 21 yards. That guy's fast. I mean, he broke the NFL record. I mean, fucking guy can fly,
Wow.
boy. All right, let's wrap
All
it
right.
up. I'll go watch football.
Cool. Right on, brother. Well, thanks for putting together, and thanks everyone for joining. Thanks for smashing a like. We got likes up in the chat. Appreciate it. And make sure you subscribe. And as always, remember, make every day an easy day.
Man, everybody have a good enjoy football this weekend. Some of y'all will see Monday. All right. Peace.